obviously a massively inspirational figure for the company as an ambassador, for the company as a whole and for Morson Forces. Can you just go into a bit of detail to how your role with the company came about and what your role entails?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a strange one, really. Obviously, I do like motivational speaking, and I'd done a motivational talk for Wigan Athletic. They lost about 3 games. I did a talk for them. They won the next 4 games, which was great for them. And then they invited me to Man United. They were playing Man United at Old Trafford, and they invited me along as their guest. And then after the game, I got invited into Sir Alex Ferguson's box. Obviously, I'm not a big football fan myself, really, but I'm aware who Alex Ferguson is and what he created at Man United. So I went into his box and met Sir Alex and had a chat, and I was telling him about the challenge that I was doing at the time. Then the Warrior Challenge, to pay respects to 6 guys from my unit who pay the ultimate sacrifice in the army. And then Jed gave me his card and said, come and see me on Monday. I'm interested to hear more about this challenge. So I went and seen him, had a coffee with Jed, and he asked me to come and speak at Glen Eagles, the half-yearly conference. Did the talk there to all the employees, all the staff, went down really well. And then I just thought there's an opportunity here to maybe be Morson's Armed Forces ambassador, and put that to Jed, and he really loved the idea and brought me on board. So it just went from there, really, just from a conversation, from a chance meeting, really. It went from there, and I've been with Morson now, I think it's like 3 years, maybe. I think 3 years now. I've been with Morson as a brand ambassador and Armed Force ambassador, and just love how it's developing the relationship and getting more guys who are leaving the Armed Forces to look at Morson and look what jobs they've got available. And obviously, guys in the forces have got some great key skills that they can offer to companies out there. So yeah, it's just great to be part of such a dynamic and fantastic organisation.
It's brilliant to see you help so many veterans come into work after leaving the army, Andy. Just in particular, any stories that have moved you in terms of you aiding someone else into the world of work?
Yeah, well, the most best story really was like young Alex, a soldier who was in my team when I was over in Afghan when I got injured. Unfortunately, he suffered quite badly with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from what he experienced in Afghan, and he was self-medicating using cannabis as a way to deal with the trauma that he was going through, and his relationship broke down, and he ended up living on streets in Halifax. And he reached out to me, phoned me up, asked me could I help him, and I said to him, get the train to Manchester and come to Leon House, which is another company that I work for, and we got him some mental health treatment. We got him off his cannabis, got him a driving lessons, and got him past his driving test. And then we got him down to Vital, which, as you know, is part of Morson Group there, and he got on the railway training. He passed the course, did really good on the course, passed the railway course, and then got him some employment on the railway. So, a great story. And that's the thing. I think veterans, if they are suffering, the most important thing to do is to reach out and ask for help. Don't suffer in silence. In fact, anybody really during this pandemic that's happened, it's affected everybody in different ways. So anyone who's suffering with mental health issues or anxiety, depression, anything at all, really, just ask for help. Just reach out and ask somebody, and help is there. Help is available.
Was Alex's case one of the reasons behind starting the Standing Tall Foundation as well? Was that the one, or was it a sort of collection of all your experiences and the help that you've given to so many people that made that into a reality for yourself?
Yeah, it was a collection of a lot of things, really. But I suppose Alex is really giving the extra push to want to make it happen. Some of the big Armed Forces charities, they do amazing work. Don't get me wrong, they're absolutely fantastic. They supported me on my journey, helping me with wet room adaptations to my home and wheelchairs when I've needed them in the past. But sometimes they can be a bit too big and they can't have a really fast response and impact on somebody. They can't really put their arm around someone and do that one-to-one support that we need. And obviously, you know, moving from St Helens and where I live and the northwest of a whole really, there's some quite deprived areas and there's some people who need some help and support. And I just thought, I've done my bit now for national charities. You know, I've raised over 300 grand for national armed forces charities. I think it's time to do something now a bit more close to home where I can have a bit of a bigger impact. And obviously, you know, getting my MBE in 2018, being recognised for the charity work that I did. Now, obviously, people, because of that status that I've got, respond to emails that I send and they want to help me and help me on the journey that I'm on and help me support people who I want to support, which is veterans and disadvantaged young people. And as we know, there's plenty of veterans who need help and there's plenty of disadvantaged young people who just maybe need a hand up, not necessarily a hand out. You know, there's a bit of a difference between giving someone £500 and saying, there you go and get yourself some new clothes or a couple of nights accommodation. What these people actually need is a hand up onto the property market, onto the employment ladder, towards some mental well-being for themselves, you know, and a bit of a role model and a bit of a father figure in some ways, or a female figure in their lives if they're maybe a child who's been brought up with single parents, either with the mum or with the dad. Maybe they're missing that male or female role model. And I think that's the thing that my foundation can provide for these people and help them move forward.
So we talk about that Standing Tall Foundation there, and obviously Jed's involvement in it is a huge benefit and a huge help for yourself and everyone else involved. Just talk to me about why that is such a benefit for your cause and how the relationship with you and Jed has sort of blossomed over the years now. You mentioned earlier that you'd encountered Jed in the box at Manchester United, but how's it developed since then?
Yeah, I think since like meeting him in the box the first time, didn't really know who Jed was, didn't know much about Morson. Obviously went away and did a bit of a Google about that as we do nowadays, and found out about Morson and found out about Jed and what he's about. And then we obviously had the interview about me being the brand ambassador. And since then, you know, Jed's attended Remembrance Day with me on 2 or 3 occasions in St Helens, and I know he's got a lot of respect for the armed forces. Obviously, in the Morson HQ there, up on the top floor, there's a lot of Winston Churchill quotes. You know, I'm a big Winston Churchill fan myself. So I knew Jed was passionate towards the armed forces and helping the armed forces. And we've been to some Saints games together, some Sale Sharks games. You know, we've been to the races together, and the relationship's kind of grown into a really good friendship now. And Jed's a bit of a role model for me and someone who I look up to for what he achieves and how he does the right thing, you know, does things because it's the right thing to do. And I think that's what I really buy into is don't do things for self-promotion or self-gratification. Do things because it's the right thing to do. So when I launched the foundation and I was looking for a patron, you know, Jed's just come to mind straight away. Like I say, a great role model for me, and I want to try and be a role model for other people, other young people, to inspire to be the best person that they can be every day. And it's just a natural choice to go for Jed, really. And obviously, you know, in the business world, he's very well known, and I kind of want the foundation to be run by donations from corporates, so corporates solving social problems. You know, I don't want someone to go and do a 10K run for me and maybe raise £200 or £300, and then £150 that gets spent on administration costs for the foundation. You know what I mean? I want that £200 to be spent on somebody's mental health treatment or interview technique for somebody, or one of the programs that we're going to put together for these young people. So it's about the corporates really supporting the backbone of the foundation and what that's about.
You've mentioned your goals with the foundation, but you yourself as an individual are a very driven and motivated person. just looking ahead of coming out of lockdown now, what are your own sort of personal motivations in life now, heading into this new and crazy world that we're living in?
Yeah, it's been crazy, hasn't it? You know, me as a speaker, I've not been able to get out and speak to audiences live, which is what I love doing. That really helps me with my mental health, offloading information out my mind, what happened to me, getting it out there. It helps me deal with that situation. So doing it via Zoom and having little squares of people all over the screen and not having that one-on-one interaction has been difficult. So I'm looking forward to getting back out to open audiences and people who may be shy to ask a question via Zoom or in a big audience and come speak to me one-to-one over a coffee or over a beer, hopefully, and can help them people, give them a bit of advice and a bit of guidance for those people. Homeschooling, for me, I've got a 8-year-old there into it, wants to do his own schooling, and it's very difficult, isn't it? They're missing the friends as well. These young people, young kids are missing their friends and that relationships that they build and how they learn. So they're missing that. So it's been difficult. So, but for me, it's always been about goal setting. An immediate, middle term, and long term goal. That's how I got to where I am today. So I set myself a challenge of climbing Kilimanjaro in October this year. Jed signed up. Matt Levis from Morson signed up. So that was fantastic to get the support of those guys. But unfortunately, due to Tanzania being on the red list, we're not sure. You might have to come back and then spend 10 days in a hotel. Yeah. And it's £2,000. So as a foundation, we then wouldn't make any funds if you had to pay £2,000 per person for that to happen. So we've postponed it now to March, which gives me an extra 5 months of training. So I'm happy with that, to be honest. So yeah, I did it when I was 23. I climbed Kilimanjaro back then, but obviously I had all my limbs then, so a little bit easier. Still mentally tough, but now I know, because I've done it before. I know mentally I can get to the top of the mountain, but physically it'll be a little bit different and a little bit tougher, a bit harder. But a challenge is not a challenge unless it's challenging. If you want to put yourself outside your comfort zone and do something challenging, you need to put yourself in a place where it's going to be tough. You need to dig deep and have a good team of people around you to help you get to where you need to be. So I'm looking forward to challenge you.
Absolutely, Andy. It's a credit to you that you're doing that as well and constantly trying to push yourself both mentally and physically. It's really inspirational and commendable to see.